Do you want to make an OnlyFans?
Sure.
That's a blessing for me.
I should be able to do it too.
You're, I don't know, privileged, I guess.
Do you feel like it's working?
I ask myself that every single day. Hi, so I'm Raquel Rose. I also go by Your Hairdresser. That's my new OF page. I got rid of my old one. And how did I get started on OnlyFans? Well, I started during COVID. I think that's like when everybody kind of started. I feel like that's when it really blew up. I do know a lot of other people that started it earlier, but yeah, I just started during COVID. I didn't really know what to do with myself, and that's how it went.
Now, were you kind of like, were you doing the whole social media thing like before OnlyFans ever came in, or did you kind of just get heavy into it after OnlyFans?
So I was doing it before, but I don't take anything serious. So I really didn't take it serious either. I think I just now recently started taking it serious because like I finally, after all these years of just getting clout and going viral here and there, I finally was like, oh, this is an actual like business. Like this is something that you can literally change your life with. Because I have a lot of friends that are like, they make, I don't know, $1 million, over $1 million. They make $100,000 in a month. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I never could have imagined it. So I just recently started getting more into it now because of the simple fact that I know people that are making these numbers, and it's like, I can make these numbers. Like, why can't I? All of us can. But to answer your question, I was doing it before, but again, it wasn't like serious for me. It was just post a booty pic. Let's see if a couple people like it, and then it would get attention here and there. I would get like DMs from celebrities and, rappers and this and football people and basketball people, and like it was like kind of like a, oh, now I'm getting in this crowd kind of thing, so I can like meet more people or whatever. Long story short, it was more of like connection type of thing that I took it as versus me taking it as a business. So now I recently started taking it a little bit more seriously.
That's okay. So you basically started out, you were kind of just doing social media for fun, and then you realized how much money your friends were making. Um,
Yeah.
so when you started with OnlyFans and everything like that, one of the biggest things, or I guess why a lot of creators are hesitant is that they are afraid of judgment, from friends, from family, from stuff like that. Did you get a lot of that
Oh,
from family and stuff?
100%. 100%. I even got it from, even you can watch a lot of my videos and you'll see people that I've actually known from like a long time ago messaging and saying like, oh, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're this, you're fat, you're ugly. I mean, sky's the limit in terms of all of whatever you want to say. And I definitely got a lot of backlash, not only from friends, family, just from strangers. And you have to take it with a grain of salt. I definitely think that anybody that wants to be an OnlyFans person, whether it be a model or whatever the case may be, because it's not just for females, it's also for males, you have to literally do it like a business. And in the sense that as a business owner or an entrepreneur, you're going to get people not wanting to support you, not wanting to do anything, but that like just hones your way so that you can have that level of success that you expect, if that makes any type of sense of what I'm saying. So you're going to get backlash. You would get it even if you decided to open your own business, and it's kind of the same thing. Like I equate them kind of the same or like similar.
So how do you sort of like mentally overcome, because okay, so for a lot of creators, they have, family, parents that are, super conservative and stuff like that. And, they'll basically be, kicked out of the family or for a certain period of time. They're just super afraid of that type of thing, but they really want to do OnlyFans. Did you like, so with your personal family, did they sort of like disown you for a period of time and then get over it? Or
Yeah.
was it like, did they eventually sort of come to terms with it?
Yeah, so I've always, well, actually, not always. Recently, it's so weird when you own your own truth. And when I say that, I mean, like, I don't care anymore what anybody thinks of me because I've gone numb at this point. So, yeah, I mean, like, you can literally say, for blatant terms, we can bleep this out, but hoe, prostitute, slut, bitch, this, that, you know? You can say whatever you want to say. And at some point, it just happens so much. I try to think of like an actual celebrity and like Kim Kardashian. People talk so much crap about her. You never see it really affect her that much. So I try to tell myself, act like that. And when somebody or someone in my family tried to disown me, which it did happen in the past, I was, like 18, and they're like, your daughter's a whore, you know? So it affected me a little bit because I was really young and I didn't have, I mean, I'm still young, but like, I was young minded. I just got out of high school. I literally didn't know anything, and I'm being disowned. So I just had to come out of my body after I actually went to Mexico, stayed there for a couple of months, and that actually really helped me kind of find my true self and own who I am and love myself and like not care what anybody said about me or feeling disowned. And now I'm in a position where I'm doing better financially and my family actually comes to me for help or things like that because I have cash on hand to be able to do those things. So I'm not really disowned anymore. And for anybody that ever experiences that, don't, if this is what you really want to do, and if you're not ever worried about getting leaked on the internet or whatever, like now I have attorneys that can do that. So like I'm not worried about being leaked or my content being exposed to like the wrong person or my family seeing my content. I don't care anymore. But if you do care, then this is probably not the right field for you, you know?
Right, exactly. And so, okay, so you basically went to Mexico for a period of time. Was that, did you like did you actually think about that and say I'm going to go and kind of have this time to myself and kind of figure out what I'm doing, or was it kind of just you went there with friends to party and you kind of, came to these realizations, or tell us about that?
Yeah, so when I went to Mexico the first time, it was for my birthday, and I fell in love with it. And I was like, wow, this place is magical. And there's a constant saying, there's a lot of like, this is a rude term, so I apologize to anybody, but it's kind of like a hippie vibe over there. Like everyone's all spiritual, like, oh, the earth is so beautiful and the sun and the sky, look at it, like they're just like, they're literally outworldly. But I thought it was really cool because it gave me like a sense of direction that I never had before. And this I felt like it was enlightening me to open up in my brain to new experiences, if that makes sense. So, with that being said, because I was around a lot of spiritual people, I attended seminars and just group like things with friends when I oh, by the way, I forgot to say because I have ADD, sorry. When I went there for vacation, I decided a couple months later like I need to go back. And then through that, when I went back, I stayed there and I was going to only stay for a month, and I ended up staying longer than that. I stayed for about 5 months, 4 or 5 months ish. And during that time process, that's when I went to those seminars, et cetera, et cetera. And I really just kind of started to like literally love myself, and maybe not love myself, but find what truly makes me happy and really hone in on what really makes me happy. And for me, I found not worrying about what other people think. Who cares if I'm, out there being disowned by this person, having comments about that person. Just those things just don't really affect me anymore. And I really do feel that Tulum made that better for me.
Before we started talking, I was taking a look at your podcast, some of the different clips and people that you had on there, and I thought your podcast was great. But tell us a little bit about that. Did you go into your podcast as kind of just another thing that you wanted to do for fun, or did you look at it more like, okay, we could use this to sort of drive traffic and build business and stuff like that? What was the kind of thought behind that?
Yeah, so our thought behind that was definitely pure business. There was no, let's do this for fun. Yeah, it's fun, it's cool. We have a great time doing it. But we were like, no, we're going to make off the air an actual business. Let's do Call Her Daddy style. Let's do, No Chaser or these big ones or Lena the Plugs, Plug Talk. Let's do what they're doing and let's try to get to where they're at and let's hustle the hell off and make this a business because these platforms really not only push people out there or push us out there into the algorithm because these clips either go viral or they're just genuinely funny and these people want to support us. So we're also driving traffic to our pages, not only from just like us doing clout chasing stuff, but also from like a comedic point of view, a knowledgeable point of view, like an informative point of view. There's so many different ways for us to drive traffic back to us. So like we were thinking to ourselves, like, let's do off the air and which is the podcast, let's make that blow up and let's see what we can do. So we're trying one day at a time.
I thought it was great, and it seems like you are getting some traction. But how is it actually working as far as a strategy point of view? Do you feel like it's working?
I do think it's working. So we also post it's a lot of work, just so if anybody thinks it's easy, it's definitely not. I know a lot of people are making podcasts right now and it's, how do I describe it? A lot of people are making podcasts right now and they're just like, I don't know, I think because everybody sees everything and it's kind of monkey see, monkey do. And again, we're kind of the same way. So not trying to sit here and be like, oh, we're like original. We're so cool. But I think a lot of people are making podcasts and I think they really don't understand the actual like work that needs to go into it. It is so hard, number one. Number two, to answer what you were saying, again, because I have ADD, I can never answer the question straight on, and I apologize. We also post our videos on OnlyFans TV, which is its own separate identity. And through just our first posting, we saw how rewarding that was for us. It was really insane. I don't want to throw out numbers, but it was like mind blown. We were like, jaw drop, literal jaw drop. So OnlyFans TV is really where it's at, but it's a matter of like, how do you get OnlyFans TV to shout you out? Thankfully for us, I work with someone who's really plugged in, and that's how we got in. I think anybody can make it, but getting that feature on the OnlyFans TV platform, that's something that I'm really proud of.
Interesting.
Because that was game changer for us.
Okay, yeah, because there's a lot of creators that sort of ask me about OnlyFans TV, and I don't really know that much about it, to be honest. So I don't really know. Um, is it something? So obviously, when you're posting on Instagram Reels, you're posting on YouTube Shorts. You can obviously, post your links in the video descriptions and in your bio and all these different things to drive traffic back to, whatever it is that you're promoting. Does OnlyFans TV have like a feature like that, or do you mainly have to sort of promote yourself directly on whatever the video is, or like how do you sort of use that as promotion?
When you're doing that, it's still arguably clean because you're fully clothed. You're not promoting sex work per se, if you want to say it, call it that, I guess. You're just putting out information into the world and you want to do that. With OnlyFans TV, it has to be clean. There is no, oh, like there is none of that. You cannot do that. They will block you, ban you. They will not post your content. So it has to be really, really, really clean. Now, the topics themselves don't have to be clean. Like, let's say you're a sex therapist and you want to educate people on, like sex therapy. That's not the problem. It's not the topic. It's the way that you will go about it. Like, if you're a sex therapist and you're on the bed shaking your ass, twerking, they're not going to post that. But if you're a sex therapist sharing informative information, then they would probably post that. So basically clean, it has to be clean content. And that's the big caveat with OnlyFans TV. And that's what we did. So we posted just our podcast, which if it can go on YouTube, then it can go on OnlyFans TV. But in fact, OnlyFans TV is even stricter than YouTube.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay. Well, I learned something new today then. Interesting.
Happy to help.
So you started during the pandemic. Obviously, that was kind of like the heydays when OnlyFans was going super viral and everything like that. Do you feel like it's become much harder since then, or more saturated since the pandemic days?
TikTok was a thing then. TikTok, you could really just, and I didn't utilize it to the fullest extent. Like, I'm an idiot. That's my own fault. It is what it is. But if I had went like the TikTok route during COVID and kept just throwing things out there and blowing myself up, creating a fan base, I think that my OnlyFans would have been way different. But at the time, I was an OnlyFans, I'm sorry, an Instagram person. So, being an Instagram person, I had a huge following on there, and I wasn't able to really fully understand. I need to manage all of these different platforms. Back then, you didn't need to do that. It just needed to be one main page. For example, mine was Instagram. That was my bread and butter. I knew how to use that. I was in and out of it, um, all around it. I knew how to use Instagram through and through. I didn't really know how to use the new platform, so I was kind of like a little bit like I didn't use them as much because I would just like, oh, post it here and there and be like, huh. Now I think that because of the saturation, you really need to understand how each platform works. You really need to understand what works for you, what doesn't work for you, where you're trying to go with it. Like, you have to have a literal full direction, which it kind of brings it back to like you need to treat it like a business. It can't just be something where you do it for fun. And I think for me, it was something where I was doing it kind of like, somebody DM'd me and was like, hey, do you want to make an OnlyFans? And I used to always say no, 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 because I was always worried about my family. I was like 20 years old at that time. So, and I was in college, and like I was just afraid to take that next step because I thought it was going to lead me into like this path of crazy sex work, like real crazy sex work, like deep down in the deep dive of sex work. I didn't really understand. Like, it just was porn, and then like this is soft porn, Like, I've been like, I'm not really soft porn, but like I'm doing like what they do in the movies. You're like, you're naked, like who cares? Like, whatever, you know? So I was treating it like that, and like I definitely never took it as a business. And I think that now, because of the saturation, you have to literally know everything. You have to dot your I's, cross your T's. And if you start doing things where you're just like, whatever, I don't think you're going to find success. Or like if you're doing it where, again, like I think a lot of people too, this has nothing to do with what you're saying, but I notice a lot, especially in our group, a lot of the girls that are in our group, they make posts and then they're like, it got banned. And it's like, you're literally naked. Like, what are you doing? That is not how you make a video. And I'm not going to be rude to tell them like not to do that, but you can tell why their picture got banned.
Right.
Like, you have to think outside of the box, like how you were saying in the in your actual course, which is why your course is great. So in the course, like, you literally will say, pick a niche, but don't make your niche literally just being, oh, I'm sexy. Like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Right. And I think it's hard because, like you said, during the pandemic, it was kind of the heydays. OnlyFans was taking off. TikTok was also still relatively new, but getting a ton of traction. And at that time, that was what worked, is kind of doing the little thirst trap videos on TikTok. They would get millions and millions of views. And so I think a lot of creators got into that habit, and they just thought, oh, well, this is how it's going to be forever. And then eventually, everybody finds out, the platform gets more saturated, and then obviously TikTok is starting to think, okay, we don't really want this to be the entire platform, so they start banning all these types of accounts. But I think creators have a really tough time sort of breaking that habit, um, and sort of adopting these sort of different types of content, building an actual personal brand and things like that. So I think it's just a tough thing for a lot of creators to sort of transition out of those habits that worked so well at one point in time, and now they just don't really work that well anymore.
Yeah.
um, so now,
It's hard to think outside the box. It took me, what, 2 years to figure that out, that I need to start taking this as a business. before I used to do exactly that. And then I'd be like, why am I getting banned? And it's like, duh, because your ass is out. Like, what the hell? You know, and like, yeah, some people can get away with it, but you're not that person. So, like, stop complaining, get to work, and like, stop thinking that you're, I don't know, privileged, I guess, really, because like, we're all nobodies in this little world of trying to become somebodies.
Well, I think that's a key thing that you just said right there, is because a lot of creators will get stuck in that loop because of what you just said. They'll see, so, oh well, she's getting away with it, she does it, they're putting all these videos out there, why don't they get banned? I should be able to do it too. And it's not, and modeling your own content or trying to copy what other creators are doing just because they're getting away with it is not necessarily the best strategy for longevity
Exactly.
in most cases.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's not working for you, move to the next thing and pivot. Think to yourself, what can I do to set myself apart? I ask myself that every single day. And some people may think that I've set myself apart, but I don't truly believe that. How do I sit and set myself apart? For example, that girl that made herself that robot, she goes, yum, yum, ice cream, yum. Like, like the robot model girl. I don't know if you saw her on TikTok.
I do know
She
who you're talking
recently,
about. Yeah.
yeah, she recently went viral because what did she do? She set herself apart. She created her own niche. And maybe it wasn't her own niche, but she added a little flavor to something that's already been out there. And if you can do that, now you've got a brand. Now you've got an identity, and now you set yourself apart, and now you're going to go viral. They just, like, the algorithm just wants to see, yeah, you can copy things, and like, yeah, I've copied somebody and my video got 5 million views. Okay, cool. That was amazing. It actually converted really well, and that helped me build my whole new page. Very grateful for it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I can keep doing that. Like, I have to set myself apart, and I have to figure out how to like do a brand identity for myself. And every day I ask myself that question. How can I set myself apart?
What's kind of like the craziest situation you've ever had? Like, not necessarily just OnlyFans, but just as a social media influencer in general. I mean, you're hanging out with different crowds. I mean, you're really sort of deep in the whole social media influencer life and everything like that. What's kind of the craziest situations you've run into doing that?
I mean, I won't say what rapper it is, but I mean, like, I feel like I got abducted by a rapper once, or was like close to getting abducted by one once before. And like, thankfully, I got out of it, but it was just like, is this guy serious? Like, it's crazy scenarios. And then, funny enough, he's gotten a lot of shit for it in the past. Like, you can find that he's done this to other people.
Yeah, I'm curious because there's a lot of creators who they put the whole kind of social media influencer lifestyle on a pedestal, but a lot of times it's glorified in their head much bigger than what it actually is once you get there.
Yeah.
But do you actually have, like, when you're just out and about, do you have a lot of people that recognize you on the street or anything like that that come up to you and they're like, "Hey, Raquel, I've seen you on TikTok, or I've seen you on Instagram, or this and that." Does that happen?
It doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened before. And it's just like, of course, it's like the times where I'm like the most ugliest human being on the planet of the earth. But, whatever. That's me being materialistic and like caring about my looks. But, they'll be like, oh, I know you from blah, 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 blah. Or they've seen something here and there or whatever. And they recognize me or something like that. But, just like, hey, what's up? How are you? And sometimes they'll ask to take a picture, and I'll take a picture. And then I move on my day. It has happened. It doesn't happen a lot, but it has happened. So I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
What's your kind of like, what's your sort of like goal situation? Is there a certain kind of like dollar amount or a certain type of business that you want to have, where you'll finally kind of be like, okay, I made it, I'm good, this is what I wanted? Like, what's kind of the goal situation?
So my current goal right now, I've been working on it for like 2 years. I spent thousands of dollars in it, and I lost like 20,000 because I got scammed. But I really want to start my own hair care line. So once I make that come to life, then I'll feel like, okay, like I'm starting to get my goals on track. For me, I don't know. Right now, I mean, I do know. I don't really think there's a number for me. And it's funny because I ask that question a lot. I always say to people that we're interviewing, I'm like, how much is enough money? And I don't really think that there's a number to that. If I had to throw one out there, I think that I could like definitely comfortably live as of right now, and knowing with what I currently make, like I make six figures now. Once I hit a million, I'll feel like okay, that's a milestone.
I think for me, at least, it's once you get past a certain number in terms of money, it's less about the dollar amount, but more about just the progression of these different challenges and projects that you work on. For me, yeah, for me, it's just the fun and the fulfillment of progressing on a certain goal or a certain project. It's not necessarily a certain dollar amount. I mean, that's a piece of it, of course, but I think it's just more kind of the fulfillment of progressing at something. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's exactly what I was trying to say, but I'm a terrible storyteller. I always joke about that.
Well,
I don't
you're
know how to
actually a
tell
good
specific things
storyteller, and
myself.
I'm too basic with my.
No, I like simplicity. Simplicity is like key for me. But yeah, I think I 100% agree with that. There is no number,
So I'm curious
but
about
yeah.
your when you got scammed for $20,000. What actually happened there?
Okay. So I wanted to start the hair care line. And I started doing all this research. When I went to college, I had access to like a database that allowed me to just do some like extensive research. I have a master's degree, so and it's a master's degree in business. So I went on the database at college, and the point of the story of me mentioning the master's is that I had learned how to find companies and their manufacturers and things like that. Through that, by the way, I don't recommend anybody to go to college unless you feel like you need to. I always say this is the worst advice ever. It's not the worst advice, but this is truly what I believe. If you don't want to be a lawyer or a doctor, don't go to college. I don't need to have a master's degree in business to tell you what I know now.
I've
The master's
actually,
degree in business arguably
I
hurt
agree with
me.
that 100%. I've actually I don't know how many times said basically that same exact thing. Like, if you're going to college just for the sake of going to college because you think your parents want you to or whatever, then chances are, you're wasting your own life, you're wasting their money, and you're not going to end up doing anything that you studied in college. So if you don't know specifically what you want to do and college is a mandatory barrier to get there, then sure, it makes sense. But if you're going just to go, I agree with what you're saying 100%.
Yeah, and that's what it was for me. Actually, no, it wasn't. I'm lying. I wanted to be a doctor. I still would be a doctor. I didn't want to be a slave to the healthcare world. That's pretty much what it is. Like in my brain, I do think that they've become slaves to the healthcare world. They have to work 60, 80 hours a week. And yeah, they make good money, but they make like $300,000, and I do that now ish. Like, and that's like on a really high paying scale. Some doctors only make $100,000. Some doctors will make $150,000. Like, I think the average, I don't know what the average is for a doctor, but the average is like, I know in the hundreds, not in the 300s. Like, you have to do a lot of specialization, a lot of residencies, a lot of this, a lot of that to be able to get even into the sector of 300,000. And I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. I absolutely am obsessed with aesthetic. I thought about it again, like I thought about going back. But long story short, I have an undergrad in biology. So if I want to be a doctor at some point in time, I have that. I'm very grateful for that because I do want to actually be a doctor, or I in my brain I wanted to. Let's say when I turn like 40 years old, I could still go back to medical school if I decide to, which that's a blessing for me. So for me, I did want to be a doctor and it made sense. But then as I started to become more knowledgeable, I think in my brain, um, I felt, okay, this is not what I want to do right here, right now. Right here, right now, I want to have fun. I want to live my life. And thankfully for me, that I've been put in a position where I'm able to do that. So I'm very grateful for that. Um, Moral to the story, though, where I was going, let's get back to the scamming part. I apologize.
You're good.
The scamming part. Okay, so I started doing research on manufacturers and all this stuff. I find manufacturers that are willing to do it. They tell me that they're gonna make what I want, but uh, I only get to pick three products. No, three, yeah, three products, because it goes based off of the products, how much you want, quantity, and then it also goes off of revisions, especially if you're doing a startup. And because I'm a hairdresser, which is why my username on OnlyFans is your hairdresser, um, I wanted to really formulate it myself. Long story short, found a manufacturer. After talking to them, they tell me it's $15,000. So I say, okay, I give them $15,000. I wired it to them. Like, again, stupid, don't fucking do that. You should be giving them like a little bit amount. Like, you should have them make the formula for you first, and then you tell them, I will pay you. Like, it's my stupid fault, but I don't know anything. Like, I'm just graduating college. I'm like, what, 22 years old. This was all going on during COVID, mind you, because I had the money to do it. So this was 2 years ago. I'm 22 years old. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, and I'm trying to make a whole new product. Like, I'm trying to design this whole new product that no one's ever heard of, and I'm doing it all alone by myself. I have no guidance, no mentors, nobody, and I'm just like, okay, $15,000 here, take it. I give them $15,000. They send me out these shitty ass revisions, and I only gotten three. That was a contract I signed for. I was only able to get three revisions on it, and none of them were good. Like, it just wasn't up to my standards. I actually just threw away um, a whole entire box of them. I still have stuff where I keep it in my storage, but they're just trash. It's garbage. I need to throw it away, but I still look at it like a dollar sign, and I think to myself, like, don't throw it away. Like, you spent so much money on it. But honestly, it's just trash. Like, it's not anything I'm ever going to use. It's not anything I'm ever going to give out. Maybe I'll like donate it to the homeless, but honestly, it's 2 years now, and I wouldn't want to give that to a homeless person. That's fucked up. So I'm just gonna have to throw it away and just bear. I have to bite the bear. And then the other $5,000 was me just kind of setting everything up. It was I was trying to get things patented and trademarked. I had paid an attorney for that. That was like $2,000, and then the formation of the business of the LLC and stuff like that. It wasn't a lot of money. I think that's probably like $500. And then the other $2,000 was like probably something else. I honestly don't even remember right now off the top of my head, but it was like something. So all of that kind of took up on its own little thing, and then you're just stuck in this position where you're like, damn, I need more money. If let's just say that it worked out and I got the formulation right, everything was perfect, then I would need to like start doing marketing. And then, yeah, you could just do TikTok marketing, but you still need to pay for ad space on other platforms, because you can't just rely on TikTok. And like, you could if you want to scale it a little bit, but either way, you're still going to have to do advertising, etc., etc. You need models, you need to pay photographers, you need to pay videographers, you need to pay for this, you need to pay for that, you need to pay for this, da, 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 da. And, and then I really started to realize that if you want to start an actual startup and do it the right way, I need at least 150,000, 200,000, realistically.
By the way, if you want to learn the best systems and strategies to grow your social media and really level up your skills to get more fans consistently, be sure to check the link down in the description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen here. Remember, average skills are going to give you average results, and average is not going to pay your bills in this business. It's up to you to master these skills and learn how to properly promote your account if you want to see real long-term success in the business. And now back to the podcast. So when I was looking at your some of your content and stuff before this interview, I went to ChatGPT. Are you familiar with ChatGPT?
That's like my god. I love it. I actually use God GPT, God mode.
Perfect. So
I've been trying to learn how to make it my assistant. I have not learned how to do it yet, but I've been trying so
nice.
hard.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's all coming. I mean, it's possible to do all that stuff right now, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot more stuff coming to where it makes it just super basic and super easy. Um, but anyway, I went to ChatGPT and I said, what are some controversial would you rather scenarios related to being a social media influencer, and it came up with some pretty interesting ones. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's
Okay,
go.
so number one, if you were broke and on the brink of losing your house, would you rather endorse a product you don't believe in for a huge paycheck, or maintain authenticity and integrity by promoting only products you genuinely love, even if it means earning less?
If I was on the brink of losing my house, I would rather do something that I didn't want to do to survive than to be authentic. Like, no, that's a bad choice of words though, because that sounds like you're like, oh, fuck it, I'll do it for the money. But like, honestly, like realistically, you have to think. I think that it's not a good thing, but I do notice in society, like societal norms nowadays, everybody only cares about themselves. I don't feel that I was also really young then, so I don't want to say this, but I just don't feel like it was like that maybe a couple years ago. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think that people are really selfish. So you have to tell yourself, I have to be selfish. And with that being said, if I was gonna lose my house that I worked for, like let's say it's a mortgage, like if it's a rent, I probably realistically would be like, fuck it, like I could get a better apartment at some point, like maybe I'll just shack up with a friend or I'll go back home or something, well, my parents, that's a whole other story. I wouldn't be able to go back home because, my home is their home. But anyways, the story. Long story short, uh, I would stay with like a friend or something if I was renting. But like, let's say the scenario was that I had a house, I bought a house, and if I don't do this deal, I'm gonna lose my house that I put a down payment on, that I put my credit on the line for, that I did everything that I need to do to get, and I'm about to lose it. Like, no, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to make sure that I don't lose it. Now, I think that everything is based off of a situation type style. So if it was that situation, I'm selling whatever I gotta sell to sell it. But if it's something that I don't really care about, if it's like an apartment that I don't own, then I'd probably be like, yeah, whatever. I'll say authentic to myself to not lose my authenticity.
The second one here, would you rather have your would you rather have your personal life fully exposed online, including relationships, family, and private moments, or keep your personal life completely private but struggle to connect with your audience on a deeper level?
Oh, have it all. You can have my life, relationships. When I go to sleep at night, you can have it all. I would love to be Amaranth. I just don't have. I don't know how to start it. Like I would love to be Amaranth. Like I heard she like records herself while she's sleeping and she gets paid for
Yeah,
it. Sign me the
that's a
hell
whole
up.
thing.
Sign me
That's a
up.
whole
Hello.
niche on TikTok is doing the, there's a name for it. I can't think of the name for it, but yeah, basically recording yourself sleeping, and there's a lot of people making like pretty good money doing that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, maybe I'll start picking up that little trait. I don't know because I think I would. I'm down.
It's not a bad way to make money.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Number three, would you rather have your content go viral due to controversy or scandal but face significant backlash, or have slow growth with positive, uplifting content?
Viral. So something we actually talk about with, I don't know if you got to see clips or watch the Whoa Vicky uh, episode that we did on the podcast, but this was something that we actually talked about. And what we talked about is that the world loves negative shit. That's how Whoa Vicky went viral, off
Oh,
of negative
I do
shit.
remember seeing one of your shorts that where she mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, because my livelihood is based off of creating content and making money, and OnlyFans has unlimitless potential. Like there's no real like stopping point on OnlyFans in my belief system. So I feel that OnlyFans can like change your life overnight. And for me, because that's what I decided to do with my life, I would choose the controversial, argumentative, negative comments because I know that negative shit makes you blow up. And I would choose that any day of the week because of what I do for a
Right.
living and what I chose to do for a living.
Okay, so with you personally, who's kind of like who are the sort of influencers that you follow? Are there any certain influencers or people that you sort of take inspiration from? YouTubers or anything like that?
Recently, recently I've been really, I have like a serious appreciation for Amaranth.
Interesting. Okay.
Uh, that's that's like the one person that I think that it's like she fucking did that. Like she took it, went with a grain of salt, and like went full on into the ocean with it. Like I don't know, I just think she's done such a great job with her branding and like the amount of work. I was trying to start like my own little Twitch stream, and the amount of work that that girl puts into, it's not even like, I don't care if you don't like her, like whatever the case is, but like you have to appreciate someone's work ethic, and her work ethic is like, I mean, honestly, the girl's on stream for 8 hours a day sometimes. Sometimes 10 hours. Sometimes she's 24 hours. She'll be on stream just streaming, and she's always doing something on the stream to keep her viewers entertained. That's like, you can't find that on everybody. You can't even find that in someone like me. It's me, like I want to do it on like the short side of things. Like I would love to do that, but like realistically, that's insane to think of. Like she really does that every single day of her life. You have to admire that. That's like insane to me. That's like real hard work,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
something because you mentioned like you're always kind of asking yourself, how can I sort of stand out, or how can I create something unique or interesting or something like that. And she was, I think, the first one that to sort of do the hot tub or the pool thing live on stream or whatever, and stuff like that. And that's kind of how she like her launch pad, I guess you could say.
Yeah, she paves that way.
Yeah, so man,
Yeah,
if you could just find some little quirky thing like that to do, I mean, that's I don't know how she sort of came up with that idea or whatever, but I mean that was that put her on the map.
it did. And look at where she's at now. I mean, I think I saw an article. So when I first saw the article where I started like looking into like who the hell is Amaranth, it was an article of Amaranth makes or girl makes $1 million a month, and I looked at that article like, what? On OnlyFans, and it mentioned on OnlyFans, and I was like, what the fuck? How the hell? This is amazing. Who is this person, right? Like I knew who it was, but like I had to like do a little bit of deeper digging. And then most recently, apparently she's doing like 2 million a month
Yeah.
now. And that's like something that everybody I think wants. It's just a matter of how the hell do I go get it? And that's, you need to just put in the work, really. There's no tips, tricks. There's nothing other than put in the work and get on the fucking internet and just be on there all day long.
Right.
If you want to see the same success, and do it for a year. You do it for a year, I guarantee you'll see success.
Exactly. I think that's a struggle that a lot of creators have is they see other people that are hitting huge numbers and then they go try to replicate what they're doing and they don't get sort of instant gratification and they're like, this doesn't work, this sucks.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm one of those people. I put in so much work and effort for an entire month, and then I'll get like discouraged because what I experience a lot is, and I have to like come out of my body. But when you're first starting to get traction again after like getting so much engagement on a platform, you get so much engagement, like your engagement is like through the roof, you're in the millions for engagement, and you're like, fuck, this is amazing, right? And then one week your engagement's at like 200,000, and your engagement's like real low, and you're like, fuck, what do I do? And you're scrambling and you're like trying to make new stuff and it's not hitting, and you get like depressed almost in a weird way. And then something will hit and you go into the millions, and then you're like, fuck yeah, like, and you start feeling this godlike and like mentality. And that's why I always mention that godlike mentality. It is disgusting. It's absolutely horrendous. You cannot get yourself into that position where like you think you're better than anybody. And I try to like remind myself that, so that when I get those highs and those ups and those downs for that, seeing something go viral, just keep making the content. Like, who cares if it goes viral? Like, I don't even try to look at the numbers that much. Like, I'll look at the numbers, and the only real big reason why I mentioned the Facebook one, or the not the Facebook, the most viral one that just recently went viral, the 9 million one, is because I need to learn how to fix it. Like, there's something going on with it where I'm trying to learn how to make something work, and I haven't been able to figure that out, which is conversion. And once I figure out how to make that work, that's, that's what that is. But I guess where I was going with what I was trying to say is that I definitely experience that, like, high and low, and then I'm like, I get like, depressed is not the word, but not encouraged.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a
And I
super
go through this
common.
thing.
Yeah, I think that's a super common because almost every creator that I talk to has, or at least the ones that have hit in the highs. There's always a point in time where there's going to be peaks and valleys, and I think it is kind of a tough like mind fuck when you're like sailing high for a minute and then it's
Yeah,
down to the
yeah.
valley. Um,
Yeah. It's like being in a relationship. Like, let's say, I don't know, somebody buys you all these things one week or something, and you're like really high, and you're like, oh my God. Or like you go on vacation and you get this vacation stuff and all this vacation niceness and blah, blah, blah. And then you come back home and you're like, ah. you know and then you're seeking that again. It's really an adrenaline rush. Like, that's really what it is. And the same thing happens with social media. So it's finding that happy medium, that balance. I don't know about you, but I'll go on vacation and then I come back home exhausted,
yeah,
and it's because I'm just doing too much. And the same thing probably is going on with social media. I'm just doing too much. You do need to do a lot to be present online, like, making content daily, and or if you want to batch it, you can make it all in one day and do it for 8 hours. That's fine too. But you need to take the time and the place to do it, and then just don't think. Like, obviously look back on it so that you can stay engaged with, like, commenting and liking and da 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 da, and doing the things that you need to do to stay relevant. But you just can't really, like, hone in on the numbers. The numbers are what screw you.
yeah.
It's kind of like money, right?
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. So I'll have I'll have your Instagram and your podcast and all your stuff linked in the description. What are there any other channels that people can check you out on?
I'm on every one, so it's always Raquel Rose across the board. And if it's not Raquel Rose, it's your hairdresser. And I'm really trying to build out your hairdresser. So if you want to find anything, just your hairdresser me.
Nice. So the last sort of question I like to ask everybody: if you could give advice to to the younger version of yourself, what would that be?
If I could give advice to the younger version of myself, I think it would be to get the fuck out of your head. Yeah. Like, just go for it. Don't worry about what other people say, think, whatever the case may be. I think a lot of time I was also fearing. Like, I was fearing of everything. Like, I was afraid, of this. I was afraid of that. Like, don't be afraid. Just freaking go for it. Who cares?